Morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Namaste Village experience. That's what we're here for. The experience of what it means to be wide awake and to see what can be seen. That's it, right there. That's the Namaste experience. And to experience the vibrancy and the joy of that experience, of that knowing. There's something that just begins to open up like a flower inside of us when that light is shown upon it. And when we come together as we do here, and it's like we're all flowers in a garden that has direct sunlight. So we find ourselves ready to awaken, and that's where we are now. But here's the thing. When it comes to a joke, if you don't understand the context of that joke, it's not funny. You know what I mean? Let me give you an example. I'll tell you a story. So there was a barber in a particular city, and one day in walks a Franciscan. Okay, long brown robe. He's wearing his habit, and this barber is very surprised. He says, why are you wearing this robe? So, oh, I'm a Franciscan friar, and this is just what we wear. And the barber says, oh, Franciscans, I love Franciscans. I mean, Franciscans, they're followers of St. Francis, who was the saint of nature and the saint of animals. Here, sit down. I'm going to touch your hair. It won't cost you a penny. And the Franciscan says, oh, no. Yeah, I mean, I have taken a vow of poverty, but the truth is, I do have enough for this haircut, so please. But the barber says, no, absolutely not. You will not pay. So he gives the friar a haircut and he leaves. And then the next morning, when the barber comes, there's this beautiful wicker basket sitting outside the front of his shop. And inside that basket are wildflowers and beautiful fruits and different things. And it was a gift from this Franciscan friar in gratitude for this gift that the barber had given to him. So later on that day, the barber is alone in his shop when suddenly there walks in another man with a kind of a very dark robe and a belt around his waist. And the barber asks him, oh, who are you and why are you wearing that particular robe? And so this man said, well, I'm a Trappist. I'm a Trappist monk, and I'm away from my monastery and I needed a haircut. And so the barber says, oh, I love Trappists. So, oh, they pray so well, and they can live in silence in their monastery. This is absolutely my gift. There is no way I'm going to let you pay for this haircut. And the Trappist says, oh, well, that's very kind, but you do need to know that though I take a vow of poverty, I have enough money for this particular haircut. But the barber says, absolutely not. I'm a Catholic. Look, there's no way. This is my gift to you. So the next morning, the barber comes in to his shop, and there's a basket sitting in front, and it has some jam that was produced by the monastery and some other goodies that were from the monastery. And he's so happy. So he brings this basket in, and he sits it down next to the basket that the Franciscan had given him the day before. Well, later on that day, there is another man who comes in, and this time he's wearing a nice black suit with a Roman collar. He's very well manicured. And so the barber asks him, who are you and why are you dressed like this? And the man says, well, you see, I'm a Jesuit. And, and this is how we dress. And I'm from a university, and I'm here for a conference. And so I needed a haircut, and I saw your shop. So the barber says, oh, I love Jesuits. You know, my nephew went to a Jesuit university, and so they're so learned and educated. So there's no way you're going to pay for this haircut. And the Jesuit says, oh, listen, it's true, I do take a vow of poverty, but I have enough money for the haircut. And once again, the barber says, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no way that you're going to pay. My son was well educated by your order. So once again, finally the Jesuit says, thank you, and he gets his hair cut. Well, then the next morning, when the barber comes in to open up the shop, there are 10 Jesuits waiting for him. Now, if you don't understand the context of that joke, it's not funny. It's only funny if you know the reputation between Franciscans and Trappists and Jesuits. Jesuits usually being, well, at least rumored to be more affluent and well-educated and yet maybe willing to take advantage of a good situation, where maybe Franciscans are more open and giving. Anyway, it's only funny if you get the joke. So here's the deal. As soon as you get the joke of what is going on here, until then, it won't be funny. But the moment you do get the context of the joke of separation, the instant you get that, there will be a joy that wells up inside you that is like nothing of this world. The release of the weight of dependency upon a world that is really just based on a joke. But it's only funny when you get the joke. That's why maybe some of you laugh, or maybe some of you laughed at that joke I told, not even getting it. I don't know. Intuitively you got it, and now intuitively you're starting to get this joke. That's why you're so happy. That's why the last few days we've been focused on joy, this joy that just expands within us when we get the context of the joke. So that being said, I did write a little paragraph, just a little jumping off point this morning that we'll use. I'll share a little bit more, then we'll bring Vicky in, but we'll see if Vicky has any jokes she can tell. Okay, here we are. The moment you finally accept that there's nothing left for you to do that you haven't already done, and nowhere that you have to be that you haven't been already, then there'll be nothing left for you to do but to burst into light and expand into joy. There's nothing left for you to do. Nothing. You've done it all. You've been everywhere. You can make a list of where you've been, all the different trips that you've been on, flights that you've been on, but it doesn't, you can say, well, I haven't been here and I haven't been there, and I've always wanted to go to India and I've always wanted to go to China or whatever. No, you've already been everywhere you can be, because there's only one place you can be, and that's right here, right now. And when you get that, then you get the joke that there's nothing other than right here, right now. But the context of that joke is the idea that you wandered away from right here, right now, that it's possible for you to be somewhere other than that. But now you're beginning to realize that was just a kind of not even a very well told joke. It wasn't even very well done. It wasn't delivered by a master comedian who can wind a story about Franciscans and Trappists and Jesuits just in the right way. No, it wasn't told by someone like that at all. It was told by someone who wasn't even very good at telling jokes. And yet still we heard that and thought, what if that could happen? What if I could wander away from eternity and be somewhere where I am not? Be somewhere where I am not. The impossibility of that strikes. That's what's happening. That's the joy that's expanding within you, is you've realized the impossibility of that. Now you get the context. So once again, The moment you finally accept that there's nothing left for you to do that you haven't already done, and nowhere that you have to be that you haven't already been, then and only then will you expand into joy, burst into light, because you got the context of the joke that you've been telling yourself, That's pretty funny, to tell yourself a joke that you don't even get. Think about that for a moment. To tell yourself a joke that you don't get, is that even possible? The answer is no, it's not possible. But that's what we have tried to do. Tell ourselves a joke that we don't even get, and then somehow think it's funny. No, I don't think so. All right. I'm starting to wander away from my point. So, but it will not be a joy that could be known or even recognized in this world, because it's the result of escaping the world your heart has never fully recognized. Once again, it is the result of escaping a world that your heart has never fully recognized. Your heart, or the inner being, who you really are, has never fully recognized the world or the predicament that you have found yourself in. Therefore, your whole self, who you really are, is always waiting for the punchline that never comes. It's waiting for a punchline that never arrives. That's the anticipation. Like, when is it going to come? When am I going to get the joke? Well, guess what? You just got it. Did you feel that? Did you feel something? That you just got the joke? Is that possible? You may be thinking, what is he talking about? I didn't get anything. Sure you did. If you want, if you think that it's time, that you're ready to finally get the joke that you told yourself that you never really got. I don't know. Now I'm spinning again. Okay. The only thing left for you to do is to celebrate and welcome that which celebrates and welcomes you. In this way, your celebration rather becomes circular. Once again, when you celebrate and welcome that which celebrates and welcomes you, that becomes a circular celebration. You're only giving and receiving to and from yourself. And when you realize that, that's when you get the joke, that it's possible for you to do something other than that. At that moment, every problem you have ever perceived is suddenly solved, because you recognize that the only problem you ever really had was making a decision that had no real effect on you or anyone else. And that realization inspires such an expansion of joy that the world itself suddenly dissolves before your eyes. So suddenly there are 10 Jesuits at the door. Oh, I get it. I finally get it. Have you ever heard a joke and then there was like a delayed reaction, like an hour later you just start laughing hysterically, and people around you start to, why are you laughing? Like, I got it. I got the joke. What joke? Oh, it doesn't matter. It was someone told me an hour ago. You've been being told the same joke over and over and over and over again, haven't you? Here's the thing. There's only one in this joke book. There's only one joke. There's only one joke you could tell yourself. And it's just page after page after page of that one joke. And now you get it, that it's impossible for you to be somewhere other than who you are, than who I am. And the impossibility of that possibility suddenly becomes very funny. So that's enough for me and my silliness. I'm going to turn it over to Vicky now and hear if she has anything that she can add to this cosmic joke we've been telling ourselves.
Good morning, Brother James. Happy Friday, everybody. Good morning. So I do have a short story, but I wanted to read you. This is a little inspiration that was a pretty good quote. And it's a quote from, they're called the brotherhood of the present day Jesus. And this is a quote from them. Peace is not a happening or a set of circumstances or an outward beauty, but peace is your perfect tuning to the universe by your knowing that that's all there is. And when we know that tuning in to that center in us, and we know that's all there is, all this other stuff is silly, it's foolish, we want not to take it so seriously. And the temptation to take it seriously is what stabilized everything and all of us into these body outfits. We got very focused because we take it seriously, and we take each other's bodies very seriously, what they do, what they say. So I'm very excited because, you know, I get excited when I get a new prop. My last prop is that we're souls. I don't have it right here, but Elaine made me a new prop. Don't forget to laugh. Is it backwards or can you read it? It's backwards.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, don't forget to laugh. So that's really the key. So I want to give you a short example that happened the other day, because for me, it summed up everything. Things I can tend to take seriously, things that I forget to laugh at. So, and that's really because when we're restored to the center of who we really are, I'm God's kid. That's it. I'm God's kid. He can take over now. He's in charge. I can rest. There's no more need for me to worry and be about everything. All I have to do is enjoy being God's kid. I'm the heaven that he created, and I just have to let that be okay instead of trying to figure it out. Don't figure it out. Let what I am come into my awareness by stopping my rearranging and figuring of the pretend world, the make-believe world I made up, my costume and all the rest of it. So the other day, and I'm not a masterful joke teller like Brother James, but I'll give it to you this way. So I walked into my son's house, and you know, I have two grandchildren, a 3-year-old little girl named Lyra and a 7-year-old boy named Tommy. So Lyra happened to be sitting at the table, and she was having her breakfast. They call me Tutu. That's Hawaiian for grandmother. So Tutu, I freaked out, she said. I said, Lyra, what do you mean you freaked out? I freaked out, she said. And I said, Lyra, what happened? And she couldn't say it enough. Tutu, I freaked out. I said, well, why did you freak out? Because Tutu, Mommy freaked out. She yelled at me and she freaked out. And then I yelled right back at her and I freaked out. And we all freaked out, and she was hysterical. And I was hysterical because, you know, when you yell at a 3-year-old, they don't always freak out. They can just collapse, or they can throw a temper tantrum. But this little girl didn't throw a temper tantrum. She stood right up and said, and yelled right back, don't yell at me. And she was so happy with herself, and her mother was so happy with herself, and they're both freaking out, and she thought it was the most hysterical thing that ever happened. And so did I, because I can tend to take those things too seriously sometimes. But she broke a spell in me, and she certainly broke a spell for her mother. I don't know if her mother will be too quick to yell at her again, but this is how we are. We're children. We can laugh at ourselves when we take things too seriously, and we can yell right back at ourselves. No, that's not so. Jesus says it a lot. He says, listen, take a stand. Don't be a wimp. Take a stand. This isn't so. And I want to live by what is so. This isn't so, and I'm going to freak out because it isn't so, and I'm not putting up with it anymore. What was that movie? I'm mad and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Network is, I think.
Yeah.
Network.
Anyway, if that's what we do, when we can laugh, when we can stand up to the silliness, the foolishness, of the ego trying to dominate us, the tyranny of the ego, trying to keep us in prison, trying to hold us down, trying to hide the light that we are. And we stand up and say, absolutely not. I'm not having any of it. I am the light of the world. I am God's heaven. I am free. I have everything because I was created as everything. And I'm going to live in the joy of that and see how it shows up. That's what we're doing here. So I can still hear Lyra, Tutu, we all freaked out. Mommy freaked out. I freaked out. It was just too much. So that's my little story. Elaine, you got anything?
I do.
Okay.
Vicky had been talking about a few friends that she goes to the pool with. And, and she's mentioned this one lady's name several different times with conversation. Well, the other day she called Vicky and Vicky had her on speakerphone. And she is swearing up a storm in total upset against the doctors with an appointment. And she's going on and on. And I'm thinking, whoa, she's a little rougher on the edges, right? And I'm thinking, this is Vicky's new friend? Holy smokes. So there was a big concert last night in this big, beautiful field. There had to be over 1,000 people. And it was magnificent. There was a cover band doing Billy Joel songs, and it was wonderful. And we were meeting up with them. So we had a blanket and we put it next to them. And I'm kind of just curious as to what this person's gonna do. And I can feel myself being all serious, expecting something. And then she gets up and she starts getting people up to dance. And she comes over to me. She doesn't say one word. She just extends her hands and she's going. So of course I get right up, and no reason for me not to dance. And I just started laughing because I was taking this person seriously. I was like, whoa, I don't know what she's going to say or do. And we were all laughing and we had a great time. We're up there dancing in front of 1,000 people. There were 5 of us. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. But letting go of that serious judgment of, uh-oh, was like, no, she was fun.
Yeah, all from getting the context of the joke.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
And okay, how about this? Maybe it's realizing that the joke that it has no context. That's interesting as well. We're always looking for context within the joke, and then suddenly we realize this is just, it has no context at all. Now that's funny.
Yes.
That's funny. It was a silly story, half told, and had no context whatsoever. And yet we spent 3,000 years going, hold on a second. Trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out separation. Well, you're not going to. It's impossible. You're never going to figure it out. So just like in that movie, instead of saying I'm mad as hell, we're going to say I am happy as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. We're not going to take this dream any more seriously.
Happy as heaven.
So go ahead, Calico. Why don't you close us up with your expansion and expression of joy?
Oh, well, I've got the perfect thing for this. This is so great. I've been laughing hysterically on everybody. You know, I remember watching a YouTube of Dalai Lama, and it was maybe a decade after the Chinese took over Tibet. And this guy got up and he was all obviously very upset. And he was like, and then how come you can't get angry at them because they did this to your people and they did this and you had to leave your and it went on for quite some time. And then after he was done, he just got quiet and the Dalai Lama looked at him. He was very content initially and he went, right back at him. That was it. And it was like, it was so perfect. I thought, right on, Dalai Lama, right on. So thank you all.
Perfect. Wow. That's what the Holy Spirit does to us every time we try and get a joke that has no context. just like it imitates our craziness, like the Dalai Lama did. And if we could only see the reflection of that craziness and realize, okay, this fine, we don't have to do anything more. Just realize that the joke is a joke. And it has no context. It doesn't have any meaning. We don't have to build a whole world around it to try to give it meaning. We just have to stop and laugh. So don't forget to laugh. And there's Scott, who's going to keep us laughing. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. So for all of you on Zoom, or rather on YouTube, thank you. So have a great day.